towards life, towards everything. A problem-solving individual is a divergent thinker. Right? So a teacher has to be a divergent thinker. Fine, personnel in defense will have to be divergent thinkers. A politician has to be a divergent thinker, a statesman has to be a divergent thinker, a poet has to be a divergent thinker, a filmmaker has to be a divergent thinker. Right? Every other person who would like to make himself or herself different from the rest will have to be necessarily a divergent thinker. So an ordinary umbrella, I just made you understand that when you summon, creativity doesn't come. You have to be creative to summon creativity. So an ordinary umbrella could be put to so many uses. Within 2 minutes, we found out that unfortunately, we have been pushed into a kind of a ready-made curriculum in schools and colleges. But even as a wife, you have to be a divergent thinker. Looking at everything from your point of view makes you a convergent thinker. Looking at life from another person's perspective makes you a divergent thinker. So please try to understand, we never forget, nor do we forgive. The moment you say, I have forgotten, it just means that you have not forgotten it. Right? And whenever you say, don't worry, I have been forgiving you for so many times, it just means never have you forgotten the incident, nor have you forgiven the person. The only thing you can do is understand, which is easier. Soft skills helps you to be a divergent thinker. A divergent thinker moves on to looking at something from another person's perspective also, not out of compulsion, but out of choice, but out of interest, but out of enthusiasm, but out of empathy and compassion. So what looks right, absolutely right for you, may not look so correct from somebody else's point of view. So all you have to do is just move out. So somebody was telling, I hold it to defend myself. Right? Somebody was telling that I hold it to attack somebody. The same weapon to protect yourself and to attack somebody. This is exactly how life holds many things. You think you're protecting yourself, you think you're defending yourself. Most often, the verbal battle you have at home front will be to defend yourself, but most often it will be very offensive. The game becomes very offensive. So the first thing we try to unlearn from whatever has been handed down to us in the name of curriculum is, don't be a convergent thinker. You need uniformity. We do appreciate uniformity, but soft skills helps you to celebrate difference. Celebrate difference. Jubilate over difference. Be happy that the other person is different. What a huge bore it should be to come upon another individual who thinks like you. There's nothing interesting at all. You wouldn't learn anything from the other person. It's nice to have somebody different from you. The moment the person is different from you, find the person can give an entirely different perspective of life, put in a capsule form so that you do not have the compulsion of living another life once again to get that experience. Pop in the pill of the other person's experience, fine, you can start looking at life from an entirely different perspective. And this is why I labeled it the being skill and not the doing skills. Doing skills are convergent. Doing skills are uniform. Doing skills can be validated. Doing skills are tangible. Doing skills can be proved. Doing skills can be verified. Doing skills can be examined. But there are certain things which can never be examined. There are certain things which cannot be taken to the lab and proved. There are certain things which are least tangible, but yet they are there. So all your certificates and your diplomas and degrees and anything that could be verified, anything that could be etherized on the table and analyzed, dissected, all these are your doing skills. The degrees which you have got, the diplomas you have got, and whatever is demonstrated, whatever could be touched and felt and seen, all these are doing skills. We are talking about being skills. Being skills can never be seen. It is never tangible. It can never be touched. It can never be verified. It can never be validated. It can never be vouched. It can never be certified. It can never be examined. I can call a person very, very honest. I can even give a contact certificate saying that this is the best human being upon the planet who has ever taken the shape of a man or a woman. The person can go out and murder somebody. You can never vouch for anything. So soft skills can never be taught. They can be, you can try training people if they are trainable. If they are trainable. Soft skills, you have to have the fountainhead alive in you. If it is alive in you, it has to be nourished, it has to be protected, and it has to be constantly nourished, every day nourished, because whatever you nourish in installment perishes immediately. So communication has to be nourished. You have to make use of the language every day. So what did we try doing here? We were trying to listen to people, right? We repeated. We repeated because as we were very busy doing our work, we don't even turn around to listen to what other people do. So coming to the second point. First one is be a divergent thinker by choice, not out of chance. Divergent thinking does not come just like that, like summoning a genie out of a lamp. It doesn't come. You have to train yourself. You have to start looking at the problem from another perspective. And the second point is, which is as fresh as your divergent thinking, being a bottom line listener. Now, what do you mean by bottom line listener? I do not know. Had it not been written Mrs. Jayanthasri Balakrishnan, most of you would not have known who I am. In spite of the fact, my name was regularly repeated by the person who introduced me. If I was listening properly, I was called Mrs. Jayanthasri Balakrishnan, I was called Dr.Jayanthasri Balakrishnan, I was called Dr. Balakrishnan a couple of times, I was called Dr. Jayanthasri a couple of times, I was called Mrs. Jayanthasri a couple of times. I was just fine-tuning my ears to how often my name was called and what are all the varieties the speaker chose to. Now you become a bottom line listener. A bottom line listener is one who starts listening even before the other person opens him out to talk. Hope you got me? I'll repeat. Right? So even before the other person opens him out to talk, you start listening. That's exactly what happens when somebody introduces you to someone. The first thing is meet Mrs. or Miss or Doctor or somebody. But by then you would have started assessing the person's appearance. Right? You would have spent a considerable amount of time or the hairdo or the person's appearance or the body language, and towards the end of the conversation, you would again beg a pardon and ask, your good name please? As if people have got bad name also. Right? So we immediately ask, this is exactly you miscommunication. So the second important point in being skills is to be a listener. Learn it from animals, learn it from animals, learn it from their body language. That's why I always used to tell people, listen with your eyes, please. Generally you listen with your ears, right? Listen with your eyes also, because they record the body language, the non-verbal communication of a person, and you can tell enough and more of lies orally. But your body, unfortunately, has never learned to tell a lie. You may look through me, you can look at me, you can look by me, you can do anything, and you may even look very, very impressed and interested. But I can always monitor your body language from here, because each one is like an open book. I can read you. The problem is, you will be suppressing a yawn, and it will make you feel as if, any unseasoned speaker will mistake the way your eyes develop with tears as you are emotionally moved because of the story I told you. But I know for currents that you are trying to suppress a yawn and your eyes keep welling out and nostrils flaring. Right? Your body can never ever tell a lie. So open your eyes and start listening to people, not with your ears, but with your eyes. If that is the case, how is listening different from hearing? The little one was making a lot of noise, right? And I think he is very clever, insisting on where he or she should be. Unfortunately, we happen to be a arrested audience. The doors are closed, right? We have been listening to many things, the creaking sound the chairs make, and the drop of something here, and the click of the pen, or the cough or the sneeze, or whatever it is. You have been hearing all these. Along with all these, you hear my voice also. How is it different from listening? How is it different from listening? Most of us have unfortunately mistaken listening for a passive activity. Listening is never a passive activity, it is a participating activity. You have to be a participating listener. A passive listener is somebody totally different. A participating listener, first, it is a collective activity, it is a bunch of activities, just not an activity. It's not simultaneous, it is done simultaneously, just not one after the other. So, you first thing is the moment you came in, you first recognize, then you register, you receive, you record, you replay, you edit, and then you reproduce. All will have to be done at the same moment. So scientifically, people say even the fastest of the fast speakers cannot articulate more than 250 words per minute. But even the slowest of the slow listeners can download more than 650 words per minute. So there is real sense in your listening. So when you listen, you receive a person, right? First thing you recognize. You recognize that the person is making human speech sounds. You may not understand vanakkam, but yet you know through the body language somebody is trying to greet you. Maybe that's a calculated guess, right? After which I go on to a good morning. Then you receive it because it's recognizable, it's understandable, and it warrants a reciprocation. You immediately reciprocate and appreciate your reciprocation. Then we go on. So you receive, you record, you replay, and if you have to tell it to somebody else, you can use your own little anecdotes in the place of whatever I have used. You can introduce your own little games instead of making use of an umbrella in 10 different ways. Because you knew the technique, you have received the technique, you edit the unwanted things and then you replay. After which you store it in your memory as and when you demand it surfaces. So listening is a very complex activity, it cannot be taken for granted. Most of us are unfortunately very, very poor listeners who have taken listening for granted. That's why when somebody asks you a question on something, you very lately recognize that a question has been asked and then you wonder, what have I been doing so long that I do not know the answer for this question? I could see this even here. When I said 10 different uses of an umbrella, I found most of you repeating the word for the benefit of your neighbor or for your own benefit, umbrella. Right? There was no need for it at all because everyone heard me. It was pretty audible and was understandable. Right? But yet, you thought that you had to reiterate the word and you said, umbrella. Fine? So the second most important thing is, please be by choice a good listener. If you would like to be somebody who gives counsel to people who are stressed, right? The first requirement happens to be a good listener. A good listener. A good listener does not have an answer for all the queries. A good listener does not have a solution for all the problems. A good listener has got two fine-tuned ears and a prepared heart to listen. These are the basic requirements because this moves on to the second step. Second step of find your soft